My name's Emerie Snyder. I am based in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm an interdisciplinary theater creator, doing a variety of work that crosses over between usually theater and visual art worlds. I do a lot of things that don't happen in traditional theater spaces, things like theater by mail, theater in the form of a gallery tour, things like outdoor site-specific audio theater. It takes a range of forms, but I'm always interested in the relationship with the audience, and how that's where theater happens, is in that electric connection in between the performance and the audience. Mostly a theater artist, and I had started out as a performer and then focused on theater directing. Years ago that I made this film, and it's the only film I've ever made, actually. But I had this one idea for a short film, and I actually wrote it I wrote it and shot it while I was in college. I was at NYU, and it was not a college project. It was not sponsored by the school at all, but I did it with some friends in the summer in between my junior and senior year. And we shot it in a subway station in the middle of the night. I made it difficult for myself by writing a script that required an empty subway station. And then we discovered once we were down there that this was the station where they hold the trains to get them on schedule. So we had a lot of waiting for trains to get out of the way so that the station would appear empty. I'm interested in connection and relationship, and can we ever communicate clearly with each other? And when I see something, do you see the same thing? What color is that wall to me? What color is it to you? And can we ever really understand each other? You know, I think I may have originally started to write this idea as a play, because that was the world that I lived in. And then I started to realize that the images in it, the ideas in it really lent themselves to a more visual medium, to film. And because it's set in a subway station, it felt like it made sense to have it happen in a real subway station. I also made the decision to have it be in black and white, and that's something that you can do in film that you can't do in theater, except for at the very end, there's a moment where the whole screen turns into swirling colors to create contrast. And when it's the ideas are about perception and color, I thought it was a fun way of subverting the audience's experience of that by making it black and white. So, and I feel like I learned a lot of really useful things about making a film and about what kind of art I'm drawn to making myself. The festival was right in the middle of the rehearsal period, so I couldn't make it. But actually my father went to the festival. He had worked on the film in the capacity of adding audio description to it. He worked with audio description, which is an accessibility technique for people who are blind and visually impaired. And so he had made sure to add that in. And because I couldn't go to the festival, he thought he would go and represent the film. And yeah, as I recall, he had a great experience, and it certainly felt validating to have this little film that we made in the subway station in the middle of the night, have it recognized by a festival in Europe. Eye-opening in terms of what that medium calls for, and I have a lot of respect and appreciation for filmmakers, but I realize the way I'm interested in telling stories and creating experiences for audiences is in 3 dimensions, not 2. I'm always interested in things that involve the relationship with the audience, and I think I'm most interested in things where that happens in three-dimensional real space. A project that I have coming up right now is a second iteration of a theater by mail project that I originally did with a collaborator in 2021. And we got a grant to do an expanded version this year in 2024. And we've now decided that it's going to be an event that happens every 3 years. So the next one will be 2027. The project is called Dream Home, and it is a package that you get in the mail, and you can get it anywhere you are. Inside the package are a map of an imaginary other place and some mysterious objects and a set of cards with instructions on them. And so you're guided in using the map and the objects and the cards to explore your own neighborhood, your own surroundings. So it's sort of like taking a map of another place and superimposing it on top of your own. Like what would happen if I used a map of Paris to explore my neighborhood in Brooklyn? And, what's the relationship between those different places? So even though that's a pretty non-traditional form of theater, I think it's theater because it's still about an experience in space. And in this case, the audience kind of becomes the performer for themselves. And then I'm also working on an immersive theater piece inspired by the work of a surrealist painter named Remedios Varo. And my collaborators and I did a workshop version of it where we did it in a Victorian mansion, and we built a river inside the mansion. And then there are a couple of performers who guide the audience throughout the space, and it explores the idea of sources. What are all of our sources in various different ways? Where do we all come from, and how do we come together and connect and understand each other? And then I have another project that I'm just at the beginning of starting to work on that is right at the start of the development, but I'm excited about it. It's inspired by the theft of the ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz. They were actually stolen. Well, one of the pairs that was used in the movie was stolen in 2005 from the Judy Garland Museum. And they finally were recovered 13 years later. And it's like stranger than fiction, wild. So we're making an immersive true crime musical about it. Really listen to what you're drawn to most, listening to yourself and finding the people in your life who can give you good advice and whose opinions you trust and respect, and listening to them too. My website is emeriesnyder.com, and it's Emerie, Snyder, Snyder.